We generated 600 templates, send those out to the managers, and wait for our inboxes to blow up. Not fun. So we were looking for a tool, and that's why we built dynamic budgets. Our pedigree, we started in GP, and we have migrated to Business Central, Acumatica, Intact, and NetSuite following our customers. That's where majority of the GP customers are looking to jump to in their next system. Today's presenters are myself and our superstar consulting manager, Cindy. Just going to walk you through a couple of slides here, and then I'm going to hand it off to Cindy for a live demo of the software. We missed you. I'm not sure if we saw you or missed you at Summit. Here's just a few little images of our experience last week. Cindy and I ran the booth. We welcomed visits from MVPs like Cecile Din and Beat. I got to hook up with Molly from DynamicsCon, and yes, there was some late night networking and even line dancing at the clubs at night. The picture in the upper right is a picture of the GP General keynote. It was very well attended. I didn't hear any particular numbers, but I have to guess that there was at least over 500 attendees on the GP track for the conference, a mixture of partners and customers. We had some interesting messages from Microsoft. If you hadn't heard about it, they've announced the end of life for GP. End of mainstream support and product updates is September of 2029. End of emergency security hotfixes, if necessary, would be 2031. So mainly kind of asking people's questions, what are your plans? A lot of customers are saying, you know what, it's the one system that works. Don't touch it. It's working. Leave it alone. I've got enough other problems to worry about. We also hear a lot of people say, hell no, not on my watch. I'm retiring in X number of months or years. You guys can deal with it after I'm gone. Some customers are already in transition, going to the new cloud ERPs, and others are just starting to think and start shopping around for alternatives. If you're working with GP, GP is going to be around. We have customers that we know of customers that are still on version 2009, and it's still working fine for them. Likely GP will continue to put along, and you can just continue to use it. From our perspective, you can rest assured that you can buy dynamic budgets today, and we will be compatible with GP through in the future years. There's been almost no changes to the system that impact us for the entire life cycle of GP version 18. For about the last 5 years, there's no changes in chart of accounts, account balances, transaction details. There's almost nothing that we need to do to react to GP upgrades. Customers call and say, we just did the upgrade. What do we have to do with dynamic budgets? Like nothing. It still works. There's no changes necessary. So there's no upgrade procedure from our side. We continue to innovate our product and continue to add new features and functions on a weekly basis. So we're continuing to innovate our product, even if GP isn't innovating significant changes in their product. What we're trying to do is integrate your non-technical, non-financial staff, get them to enter the details into the budget such that they can't accuse corporate of those are corporate's numbers, they're unrealistic in October, they mean nothing now, that's January. We want the managers to go in, input their details, make it their own information such that we can hold their feet to the fire, make them accountable. We like to budget. We like to review monthly budget actual variances and then go into a forecast, taking the considerations from the monthly explanations as to why I was over under, use that to reforecast, and then use that to go into your next budget cycle and make a continuous improvement loop with the data. Cindy will go through the screenshots of the application. What's important is that most of our customers are coming over from Excel. Some have been priced out of other budgeting tools or have gotten frustrated that those other budgeting tools are too complex to work with. We like to integrate non-technical, non-financial staff. We think that we've got a relatively bulletproof application that they can't break. A huge difference between us and the competition is that there's no per user pricing. It's a flat fee, whether you've got 10 people or 100 people using a tool. We didn't want to discourage use. There's no per user fees. And we're very quick to deploy. Our average customer is up and running in about 10 hours. We load payroll, set up user security, set up your budget, initial data, and you're live with the system 10 hours later. If you're a really complex healthcare organization, they have the most moving pieces, maybe 30 hours. Our competitors would typically quote you 100 to 200 hours. We can't invent 100 hours of consulting. It's just simply much easier to work with. For those of you who are thinking about moving to a new cloud ERP, big selling point here is that if you're an existing customer or considering buying dynamic budgets and you're on GP and thinking about moving within the next 5 years or X number of years out, we can archive all of your GP data into the dynamic budgets database. It's a SQL database, whether it's on your network or on the Microsoft Azure cloud. We can manage that. Your partner can manage it, or you can manage it yourselves. We're very flexible on the data architecture. But we can copy your history from GP into dynamic budgets, and then that is available once you're out on the new ERPs. Your consultants are probably only going to offer to import about 2 years of history and maybe only open year transactions when they go to that new system. If we've got all of your GP history and you give us the mapping files, we can remap those transactions and masquerade them as if they are new, as if they're transactions in BC, Acumatica, Intact, or NetSuite, wherever you go to. This is a sample of one of our data entry screens. The budget information is in the upper half of the screen. The history is at the bottom half of the screen. So if your user was curious as to why they spent $1,000 in January back in 2020, they can click on that and drill down into it. Even if they're in the new system and you didn't import the 2020 actuals, we can remap that and support the ability to drill to transaction details. So I'm going to turn this over to Cindy, and she'll walk you through the live system.
I will share my screen. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. All right. So as Zubin mentioned earlier, we want our end users to be easily log into the system and their budgeted assumptions. So here I have my budgeted screen where we direct our users to our budgets, and then you enter your 25 budget here. So I already have it open, and let's go dive into US sales finished goods. So in here, you can put in your assumptions, and what they have already entered is based on production, and they wanted to add additional amount. You can add as many rows as you need if you want to explain specific sales, vendors, things. Down here is where you can click, like our PowerPoint, where I'll pop up and I'll tell you what you have spent and in what days as well. So make sure that the trends that you're entering your budgeted amounts make sense of what actually happened. So after entering all your assumptions in, you can have a printout if you wanted to, of quickly going over what you have entered in. Here's just a quick report here. A lot of times our users want to just make sure did they enter their right versus going to each GL account to see what they have budgeted. So this is really great to get the budget line item details here. So this is one of our reports. And I'm going to switch over to our monthly summary accounts report, where this you're able to group up. So I'm going to close this little side panel here. And you can kind of see based on personal costs, sales, and so forth of does the trends make sense? So our users can kind of see month to month. Does that trend make sense? Do we need to increase in one month and decrease in another? And they're still able to expand and drill within the specific account and edit the budget. So they don't have to go back to the original screen where they put in the details. There's multiple ways of going back to our account details page to enter their assumption. I did want to touch base on one of our custom reports that kind of looks familiar, like your management reporter, where we can group based on sales, salaries, and you can even drill down here of what accounts in this specific sales group. So for instance, when I click on these details, you'll see all these different GL accounts, and you can drill down as well. So if you're reviewing actuals versus budget, your users can quickly log in and see, were we over budget this month? Were we under budget? So when you are closing the month, you're able to explain what occurred, and it's easily documented here. So you can add your comments here as well, or your finance team. I wanted to switch over to our payroll screen so you can kind of see if we had salary employees, you're able to put in where their annual salary is, as well as any rate changes and when it occurs, and if they are allocated in different departments. So, for instance, Mr. Simpson is allocated 100% January and February within our administration department, but then the rest of the year it's 70-30 department. So, you're able to break it up as well. If you have hourly staffing, we can budget based on pay period. So let me slide over really quick. This is monthly. We can do weekly as well, and you can enter those hours here. And I'll calculate that their hourly rate as well. One last thing, let me make sure I'm good on time. I just wanted to show our Power BI reports where if you are on site and you wanted to quickly see where you're budgeted at, where's your actuals, if they have the Power BI Power BI app on your phone, you can connect it to the reports and you can quickly see visually where everyone's at, as well as how well our users are logging in to complete their budget. So if you're on the run all the time, you can pull up the Power BI app and have specific reports where you can quickly answer a question if you a board member next to you, or you have a department director if you want to quickly go over what's going on if you don't have time to sit down. Perfect. One last thing, touch base is our forecast lists. We know budgeting is also projection. So here we have a template where we're blending in our actuals from January, July, but the rest of the year it's a July average. So we can push that in a forecast where you can see what we're expecting to end if we're far off from our budget and make adjustments in that projection to see our true number we may be ending up with. So I'm going to stop right there. Does anybody have any questions for us at this time?
Yeah, so just kind of recapping, we're sort of the Swiss Army knife of budgeting. There's a lot of different tools, a lot of different pieces. We're just doing the tip of the iceberg for you today. But if we piqued your interest, more than happy to follow up with you and do a deep dive demo. So thanks very much for your time today.